Hey guys, welcome back to another UI clone video. I haven't made one for a couple of months, but I think this is going to be a pretty cool one. So my idea for this one is I think I'm going to try recreating the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Character Select screen using web technologies, so just HTML and CSS, and maybe some JavaScript too. I'll see how far I get. But yeah, I think this one's probably going to take a bit longer. It could even take up to maybe like 3 hours, because mainly because of the angles I'm seeing on this user interface. Like, these are some spooky angles for web development for these corners, but that should make it really interesting. So yeah, I thought I would do something different today and try recording a little intro, I guess, for the start before I dive into the project, and then record a conclusion after the project to see if my thoughts aligned with how I thought it was gonna go and how it actually went. So I guess I'll cut over to the time lapse now. I'm actually gonna start coding it, and then I'll follow up with it after. I just have one more quick note while the video is getting started here. I'm starting this one off a bit different than how I started off my other clones. So since this one has a lot of content for the actual user interface, like all the different characters, like I'm not going to show a compilation of me going and getting all the pictures and like typing out all the data for them and stuff. So I already did that. I've prepared all that data. So in order to like loop through that data quicker, instead of just copying and pasting it throughout the HTML, I'm using something called Jekyll, which is a great like simple what's the term for it? Jamstack technology for building static websites using dynamic content still. So yeah, that's what I'm using to loop through everything. So you'll see I'm starting off with like just the basic images and text, and I'll be able to loop through that data using Jekyll. Also, Jekyll uses SCSS built in, which is really nice to use. I wasn't using that in the past because I wanted to keep it as like as raw as possible, but this should make it interesting as well, I think. So yeah, that's the only major change from my last videos. So I just finished making the clone of the Super Smash Bros. Character select screen, and I think it turned out super well actually. I ended up not doing any JavaScript for it, or any really of the cool hover effects I guess from it. That's the stuff I left out. But I think the layout turned out really well. Oh, I also left out some of the... There's like some weird like corners as well with the layout, where just like a corner is cut off, and that's pretty difficult to do with web development, so I decided to leave that out. I think there is a way to do it actually using like some sort of clip property or something if you wanted to look into that, but I decided to leave that out. But yeah, I thought it turned out really well. There were some interesting problems I came across that were like fun to find a solution for. Like say the slant for the top bar. I had dealt with something in the past before like that, so I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do. But essentially I slanted the outside container of the action bars in the top left corner. And then now that I have that slant angle, everything inside of it is also slanted. So then I just slant the inner content to the opposite direction to like counteract the slant, so the content doesn't look like it's slanted at all. Next for the like selecting the type of battle, so for solo battle, I try to make that pretty similar to the button they use. I left off the edges like I said because it uses those weird clipped corner edges that look good but they're just a pain to do in the web development. Yeah, the background of the top bar I think turned out really well. That was one of the things I had no idea how I was going to do, but I ended up just doing like a background gradient with the height of 50%, and then inside that gradient I put like the content of like the after tag, so it created like another div inside of it basically, or not a div but another element. And then for that element I just made it solid red, another solid red gradient, but on the other side of the gradient it was just transparent, so that made it a lot easier, so I didn't have to deal with slanting it manually with CSS or anything. It was all just through the gradient, which is really easy. Yeah, onto the character select screen. Yeah, first I got this all lined pretty quickly and I thought it was going really easy, and then I sort of came across the problem of, oh, how do I want this to look when the browser is too small? So for that though, I ended up coming up with just making it scroll, so there's a max height on the characters, and then if the browser height is too tall, then it will just make the characters scrollable, which I think worked really well. Yeah, for the characters I also just added a little hover effect. You saw it down there. Also for the characters, well, first of all, I noticed it's not even the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate characters I added. I think these are all the ones from Smash 4. Not that it really matters, but... and then also the headshots aren't going to be as nice for the characters on in the character select screen, just because in the actual game, like, I'm guessing they use high-res pictures of the headshots, or they like zoom into a specific like X and Y location on the picture. For mine, for time's sake, I just made it like take up the entire character select box instead of just focusing on one part of the image, it's the entire thing. So it makes it a bit zoomed out in some areas, but I think it still looks pretty good. Yeah, and then for the bottom part, I think that turned out great. I basically, like, the layout was like pretty typical of how to like lay out everything, but where it got really interesting was with the gradients. I really enjoyed setting those up. I think they turned out super well, and I've never really done a style like that, like gradient wise with the website, so I thought it was pretty cool. I also really like the text style they use, that I think I replicated pretty well, where it has the text of the one color and then the opposite color as the border of the text, or the stroke, which is a pretty new CSS property. You don't see that being used too often. And then also a text shadow on top of that. I think it gives it a nice look to the text, makes it really easy to read. Yeah, so I think that's basically the entire, that's everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I know it's definitely not perfect, and there's a lot of things I would definitely improve to it. Say like class names or like structuring. I would think through more if I was actually like, not creating this for like a time limited video, because I'm always trying to like get these done within like 1 or 2 hours. That's usually my goal. Just to make it an interesting challenge, and yeah, like it doesn't have to be too advanced. It's more for learning and like showing off what you can create completely from scratch. I hope you enjoyed the video.